God risen people, coming to you with an early message. Thank you for all those who have subscribed. I appreciate it, whether you watch my content or not. Just support, so I can grow. You know, I ask people to, I never said send me money, cash at me, none of that. It's like just to show people like motivation and support. You know what I'm saying? Let them know that, hey, I mess with you, man. I support what you're doing here. And I always allow these things to let God handle that business, because I only want people who are meant to be in my circle, or who can actually retain something or bring something to the table. Either way, I appreciate you. Going back on, I've been doing this a very long time. We're not going to get into like MySpace and back then when we had MSN and Yahoo, and so I've been on this internet shit since it started, even going back to like the 90s. When I got into Facebook, I was banned for just too much stuff going on, people hacking my stuff and questionable things happening, and I didn't take much of it. Same thing with Instagram, because it's the same kind of platform. Of course, I had enjoyed TikTok for a while, until they did what they did. It's funny because they try to get me for content that they had already approved. So I definitely know there was foul play involved. People putting false accusations, trying to flag my stuff, just saying anything at this point just to get me off. And when I started going on different, started bringing my messages to different lives and chat apps, whether it was Periscope, or in this case Moco, or in this case Bigo, or Tag, I tried to find my voice, where I can use it in a productive way and hopefully reach out to people. It's been hard, because a lot of people are like, well, why are you on this, platform, or what are you here to do? And they're a little confused, like, of my position or my purpose on these platforms. If I can save people from making dumb decisions that will affect their life, that's fine. And for the individuals that I did let in my space and they abused that position by using everything against me and penalizing me for things that they were pretty much aware of, going on these witch hunts and witch trials, and I had to be patient with the whole process, and now it's like I'm having to just almost start from zero. This is like, what, the third, fourth attempt of me having, a YouTube channel, so having to start over, because obviously I was being attacked, spiritually attacked constantly. People doing witchcraft through the channel. They can, use your images or your footage. So this is why it's not that I don't choose to show my face, or, I'm fairly just, I don't care about getting any type of attention that I already, get, because it's very hard. And, during the last few years, I had to really learn and work on protecting my energy and my house, my children. Everything was being attacked, whether it was from witch covens or individuals that I already knew personally, my neighbors, my twin flame, his people, psychic fairs that I used to volunteer at. I mean, it didn't really matter. This is where I started to feel like I didn't even belong in the spiritual community. So a lot of us, we go on to YouTube looking for that tribe or looking for that support system. But like, again, if you're a chosen one, you pretty much gonna stand alone anyway. You don't really belong with anyone, and they know that. You're Christ consciousness. They don't like that. Most of the psychic are vampires. You know what I mean? They're part of the astral realm, so part of that they're limited to that dimension. So they recognize that they feed off of other energy, and when you're working with psychic or astral realm, you have to be very much aware of the constant parasitical, and this is why when you ascend past fourth dimension, you don't have to deal with spiritual attacks, right? But for those who have to battle it or be in it and work with it, then make sure you really focus on cleansing your energy, upgrading your frequencies, and shielding and protecting your aura field. In my younger days, when I was being introduced to shamanism and different cultural things, that was like the main thing, was talking about egregores, draining type of energies. And I remember just kind of like brushing through it, like I wasn't really concerned in learning until I had to face these things. So for those who, oh, you're a witch, I don't really even have to do that. It's like I've had my experience, in my young days. I've learned my lesson, so I'm very much knowledgeable and aware of any consequences, whether you retaliating or anything. This is judgment for Eight of Wands, Page of Pentacles. When people come in, sometimes I come in with a Page of Pentacles trying to offer you something or a message. It is attached with energy. These people are being judged if anybody who try to step to you for the wrong reasons. If their intention isn't clean, ladies and gentlemen, these people are automatically being chopped and blocked and under judgment. They're going to reap some heavy duty karma. They're going to feel like you are doing witchcraft on them. Right? This is the first thing they're going to say. But as a chosen one, I am anointed. It's even in my name. I'm anointed by the Most High. That's in my name. I'm a supplanter, which means to take a position by force. So it's almost like reinstating the order. Okay? With Strength card, you've dealt with spiritual warfare all your life. With 8-8, this was divine. This was part of your schooling. I've been getting attacked by the devil since I was a child, since I was aware of the devil. Okay? Some of us, they taught us, that there's this evil and there's this negativity that lives, but we weren't really acquainted with it. Things didn't become real, until you really started to experience this warfare. And some of y'all maybe need to go back to those days where what was going on with you, how did that occur, how did it let in, how were you maybe being seduced by, these different spirits, and how it affected you and your path. And I don't know if Spirit want to show you like the transitions and the progressions, and He will allow you to have free will so you can experience your life. But at the end of the day, out of your free will, did you come back to Him? Did you seek Him? Did you yearn for Him? Are you hungry for Him? Do you really desire to connect and have God back in your life? Because a lot of y'all, you can't just keep worshiping alternate gods and thinking you can just come in and out like a slut, in and out of God's, presence. You put God on the back burner, you gonna get that kind of result. You gonna have to be tested in your attention. So a lot of my life was trying to prove to God of my sincerity of my heart that I was very much ashamed of my decisions and that I was seeking forgiveness. My own forgiveness as well as God's forgiveness for the things that I ignorantly exposed myself to. But this was, I guess, part of the lesson. A lot of times, people will judge you on choices you make in your past. But that is the past, and you can't allow that to affect your future. And this is why the present moment is important on what decisions you're going to make, what you choose to give time to or energy. And when God means, they say, well, he's a jealous God. To what degree? Jealousy in a sense of wanting to be relevant in your life, wanting to be important in your life, because you are important to God. And it's that desire. You desire to eat food and have intercourse and want nice things, and that's you giving attention to principality. That's you putting, idolatry, idolizing and worshiping things that are below God. You want the attainment of God without doing the work or the perks, of the commitment. And God requires a commitment. When I got married to God, which was a long time ago, I feel like my first communion was kind of like a marriage. It established that relationship. So I'm not a big Catholic pusher, but from what I've researched, if you're going to go to the origin of what church is, the Catholic was on the ball with the sacraments, the rituals that they were performing to keep that energy alive, okay? The meaning behind what they were doing. And this is why the church got attacked by the devil and got infiltrated, okay? When we talk about they needed to put a Masonic Pope, a black Pope, that's what, the warfare started. When I asked God, yesterday, should I go back to church? Only to probably judge them, like YHWH did, right? YHWH would sit down and listen and see, because obviously we're schooled in universal law. So when we have to make sure that people are out here really teaching the right doctrines, or leading people in the right direction, this has been an issue because there's so many interpretations. It's all watered down. It's been modernized. Obviously the Church of Satan is fairly modern. It's new. It's not even based on actual demonic doctrines like the original doctrines. It's based on Levine and Aleister Crowley teachings, which they watered it down, and they created that sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? It's just, and this is what I believe all these governments, the shadow governments, all that was being indoctrinated into, including the, certain secret societies. Because how you gonna go from being school of knowledge to then actually practicing, witchcraft full blown? Because just like people started off, I'm just gonna worship angels, right? I'm gonna call on angels. I'm gonna use the angels. Angels are there to assist. Okay? You have to call them into your vicinity for you to actually have access. But this is where I tell you everything should go through God first. And let God send you the assistance. Because when you try to base things on your own understanding, or you trying to think you know better, and you trying to work with entities that you think, these entities can lie to you and tell you, yeah, I'm Archangel Michael, yeah, I'm Gabriel, yeah, I'm this, yeah, I'm that, right? When I allow the angels they know, we have that open communication. But when we talk about invocation and working with particular deities, okay, that's worshiping idols, man. That's that's breaking that main commandment. You shall have no other God but me. You need to understand, I am the creator of these creations. Why would you go half-ass and go, worship my helpers, when I believe a lot of angels did not want to be worshipped, and also like certain demis, right? You're going to say demis didn't exist, but it's showing you in history they did. These were expressions of the divine. It wasn't meant for you to put them on pedestals and worship an idolatry. They came to teach you something, right? To help you evolve. But you took it and ran with it and created a whole alternate thing, which angered, the creation itself, because that's like not being respectful or understanding the position of authority. This is like, you don't know your place. So, I don't suggest people to work with angels, because you might be working with Lucy, and that's kind of what happens. The angel of the light, the fake angel of the light. And you really much have to be careful, because I was really much into channeling and different things, even like with meditation. You got to be careful you don't get possessed, okay? And if you, like me, I'm used to snatching souls when it comes to snatching demons, and then I transmute them in my own oven, okay? I'm like Venus flytrap, correct? It's a Venus flytrap situation. We're the bloodline of Mother Mary. So I remember listening to an exorcist, a Catholic exorcist, who spoke about it, and it helped me to put things in perspective, because I didn't understand why most of my life I was being possessed by different entities. And I had to sit there and fight these entities within me, or transmute them within me. And these things can be dangerous, Some people, it has taken them out. So, I've been close enough to be taken out. I have been taken out. So, I thank my ancestors. I thank God. I thank, the spiritual celestial team for protecting me, for keeping me still here and in one piece, even though I have shattered many times. So be careful, the energies you're working with. I seen this one lady just now, giving thanks to Moloch. I mean, as much as the reputation of Moloch, I'm sure they sit here and they lie and they add shit, and everything's watered down shit. Watered down. This is why you have to go to its original source. But my experience with a lot of these devils or demons, they kind of want to be left alone. They don't want to be conjured. Okay, Masons, they don't want to be conjured. They don't want to, they're actually using you to reenact their story, to finish off their battles, and it's like it's personal to them. But they look at it like a disrespect, especially because they just want to rest in peace. They don't want to be fucked with. So, I mean, I thank God for giving me the ability to travel below and above and all four angles, and for me to see things prospectively, so I can understand each point of view and why do they do what they do, okay? Just like the dead don't need to be revisited. They don't need to be brought back. It said let the dead bury the dead, right? Because once they had that opportunity to have life, They did all they needed to do. You know, they don't need to have access to your vessel just for them to live what they want to live through you. And this is where you need to question sometimes what is the driving force behind what you do. And a lot of this job deals with cleansing, spiritual cleansing, okay, cleansing. Now, if you want to supersede having to do the maintenance, you might as well just ascend into Christ consciousness. You got to become the light so you can blast and burn out any negativity. Okay, you can supersede that energy. That energy won't be able to even trespass because you have authority. Christ has authority over the angels. Okay, so no angel, no fallen one, no entity, no alien, you know, even though you know they try to communicate with you, you keep things simple. You try to give, you know, resolution. You try to send them in the light if that's what they want, if they desire to come back home. Okay? But as far as trying to, you know, conjure them, please stop doing that. Because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Alright? I'm going to tell you what happens. And thank God I've never been a conjurer. Okay? That's not my department. Don't care. Those who sit here and, yes, work with entities, sit here and feed their altars, you know, do things like that. There was only one main altar that was shown to the Israelites, right? The Ark of the Covenants was shown how to create Holy Grail, how to create an altar to worship the Most High. It was to a T specified on maybe even the dimensions, the structure, you know, everything, right? So there's a particular reason why it was structured a certain way, why it was designed that way, why, you know, in order to keep it pure and sacred, to keep that essence retained in that space. People come into a sanctuary to feel that power, right? To get cleansed by that energy, to purify. Okay, so once you place your intention, you can't go back on it. You know, that's like a fornicator. You're an adulterer, basically, in the spiritual sense. So there's too much looseness going on. Okay, you shall not worship no other God but me. I am all that I am is YHWH. Okay, he is the law. He, she, it is the law. It's not a man. It's not a woman. Okay, it's an energy, and it's what sparks creation. And at the end of the day, creator creates, and the creation creates, and it's just this constant rotative of like the atom, right? The atom's always moving. So if you give thanks for creation or give thanks for anything, you need to give credit where it's due. And this is the disrespect that we keep talking about. You keep giving credit to yourself as if God don't work through you, right? You give credit to these, they say the beast, you put in the beast like animals above, because a lot of these are just animal energies, you know, animalistic instincts. You're giving, it's like you're giving anything credit but God. It's a disrespect. And in a certain sense, put yourself, not like you could, because if you could relate, then you wouldn't be doing the things you're doing, but put yourself in God's shoes, you know? Especially when you have deprived yourself from immorality, as well as desensitized, destroyed, demoralized, okay? And that's like taking creation and crapping on it, basically. So all them people that want to act like, I'm a god, I'm a goddess. I mean, you're a demi. Even demis gave thanks to God. Apollo was of the light. Apollo is not Lucifer, bro. Okay? So let's get that right. Apollo was a demi. He was from the team of the light. There's a whole team. Okay, like ascended masters. You have workers of the light. You got workers of the dark. But for you to sit there and act like, that is the ultimate creator, when that is just a sub-creation, that's an in-between, that's a middleman, that's the middleman. You wonder why you don't have the power, is because you're not going direct to the source to resource yourself. What happens then? You become a vampire. You transmute yourself into that, state, energy vampire, right, which deals with the Lilith, the Lilitu, and then you basically have to feed off others, right? You become this energy vampire, whether you know it or not. That's called narcissism. It's to say, like, narcissistics were people who were so abused or so much bad happened to them that they reverted their Metatron cube, okay? Like their heart chakra got reverted. And that's where, like, you have basically like this cement block blocking your chakra. And then it affects the ascension, it affects the transmutation, it affects your consciousness. And that's how I believe a lot of these angels fell. Okay? And maybe it's the frustration they had towards humanity at the same time, because I believe, angels mean well. But at the same time, angels can fall. So once they were kicked out of heaven, honey, that's it. They trying to make their way back to heaven, and they're using you, basically, to regain. It's like the war of the heaven. The devil wants to have God's throne, basically. It will never. But as it tries to spread its darkness, right? Tries to multiply it so it can be like a big entity. It already knows it was defeated from way back anyway, but it doesn't stop to try because of its need to want to feel power, to want to be empowered. That's the power struggle that I keep telling y'all about. This is kind of what we also experience in a certain sense, like this battle between you and God, where you're in control, you have the power, you get the credit. And in a certain sense, boo, when you really think about it, you could have divinity in you, but honey, you are not God. The only one who really was God in the flesh was Christ, YHWH. And this is why we say there's only one way to the Father, and that's through the Son, because he was pure sunlight. Just like Ra. They were children of the sun. Like, you got individuals who came from the stars, individuals who came. So that's why you have some people worship the moon, they worship Saturnia. It's like they came from particular places. But when you look at God, God created all them planets. How could you limit God to just Jupiter? You dig what I'm trying to say? It's like God created the universe, yo. God created everything in it. God created the heaven. Okay, God created the earth. God created the ocean, the abyss, and everything in it, including the Levithian snake. So when you are sitting here attacking Levithian, cool, right? If you have that contract or agreement to do that. But Levithian will eat your ass up, man. Levithian has a purpose. The purpose of these devils is to enforce the law, to get you in your straight and fucking narrow. Okay? So in a certain sense, the dark still kind of works for the light, even though it exercises its right to do what it do in a funky way. Because devils they need permission to even attack you. To even create. So a lot of y'all be like, well, why am I cursed? Oh, no, this was the spiritual warfare. You needed to, as God's warrior, you needed to get trained. in the field. So you thank everything, thank everything that whatever it taught you, because you're educated, you see, you recognize. And no, you can't just up and go be an exorcist and then you're still dealing with your own demons, right? You're still with Strand Card, dealing with your own inner impulse, your own low vibrations, which, by the way, these devils will use and abuse. And this is why you can't sit here and rebuke a devil when you still fighting the devil within you. And it knows that. So this is a game. They have rules to the game. They play chess with your soul. Okay, it's about soul swapping, snatching, all that, right? And then angels and devils, they fight over souls. Overseer of the soul. So at some point in your conscience, what is the part that's going to win? The good or the bad? The tree of knowledge, like the tree of good and evil. These are things within us. And based on these things, we bear fruit from it. You can tell when you bear bad fruit. Nothing grows. You almost have to chop that tree by the root. You have to uproot it. And you got to start over. And that's kind of the knowledge that we speak of. When you accessed evil knowledge or opened yourself up to that energy, you allowed it in. You opened the door to it. These energies were sealed, contended, and they were kept on that side for a reason. So, honey, now that you unleashed the beast,